This was my first proper digital camera, a Nikon D3200. Entry-level DSLR, crop sensor, 24 megapixels, none of your fancy mirrorless wizardry, no massive price tag, and definitely no YouTube photographer ego attached to it. Looking back now, I can say with some confidence that this camera wasn't the problem. I was. Well, mostly me. Because it does have its limits. And that really is what this video is all about. How much camera do you really need to get started in landscape photography today? And could an older entry-level DSLR teach you far more than you think it could? Welcome to Cornwall on Camera. Now today I want to talk about something that comes up quite a lot, especially for people who are starting out in landscape photography. Cameras. More specifically, whether you need to spend a fortune to get started, because let's face it, camera prices these days can be a bit ridiculous. You look online and it appears that everyone is using full frame, mirrorless bodies, expensive lenses, carbon fiber tripods, latest drones, filters, and camera bags that are more expensive than my first car. And I'm not kidding. If you're just starting out in landscape photography, it can make it feel like some sort of exclusive club that you can only join if you've remortgaged your house. But I don't think that needs to be the case. So this is my Nikon D3200, my first proper DSLR. And this is the camera that I used to learn landscape photography properly. The funny thing is, when I look back on some of the images that I made with this camera, I realise it was probably a lot more capable than I gave it credit for. The weak link was often not the camera. It was my understanding of light, composition, exposure, filters, editing. Especially the editing. I don't want to pretend that this camera was perfect, because it wasn't. So this is going to be honest. Yes, an older entry-level DSLR will absolutely get you started. No, it won't magically do everything for you. And yes, there are limitations that you need to understand. I think one of the biggest traps in landscape photography is believing that better gear is the starting point. But the truth is, you do not need the latest camera gear to start making strong images. You need a camera that will let you learn. Manual exposure, raw files, interchangeable lenses, enough resolution for social media, printing and editing, but most importantly, something you're actually going to get out there and use. This D3200 has a 24 megapixel crop sensor, and that's still plenty of resolution for landscape photography, for printing, for editing, for social media. Yes, it's a crop sensor. No, that doesn't mean it's useless. It just means it has a smaller sensor than full frame, and that'll affect things like your field of view, noise performance, dynamic range. But as a learning tool, it is absolutely good enough. This image was taken at Gwithian Beach on the 24th of June 2019. Nikon D3200, 18 to 70mm lens, f8, 2.5 seconds, Nisi Landscape CPL, a 4-stop soft grad and a 6-stop ND filter. This is a re-edit from the original file, and that bit is important because when I first edited this years ago, I didn't really know how to get the best out of it. The file had more in it than I understood at the time. Looking at it now, I don't think most people would immediately look at this and say, ah yes, clearly an old entry-level crop sensor DSLR. They'd see a sunset seascape, and that's the point. The camera captured the detail, it handled the exposure well enough, the filters helped control the sky and slow the water, the tripod kept everything steady, the location and light did their bit, and years later, with better editing, I can get more out of the file than I could back then. The D3200 didn't suddenly become a better camera. I became better understanding what was already there. This is where I think beginners need a little bit of reassurance, because a camera like this is absolutely capable of capturing strong images, but it won't save you from bad decisions. If the composition is weak, a better camera isn't going to fix that. If the light is boring, more megapixels won't magically make it interesting. If the exposure is wrong, especially in a high contrast landscape, there's only so much that you can recover later. And if the editing is heavy-handed, the file can fall apart pretty quickly. So yes, the camera matters, but it probably matters less than beginners think. The big things that changed my photography weren't just better cameras. They were learning to see. They were learning to be patient, learning how to use filters properly, learning when to include the sky and when to leave it alone, learning how to expose carefully, and learning how to edit images without turning everything into a mess. This is a good example of where a camera like the D3200 starts to show its limitations. Big bright sky, dark foreground, strong colour, a silhouetted subject. This is exactly the sort of scene that can be difficult for an older entry-level crop sensor camera. If you expose for the foreground, the sky is blown out. If you expose for the sky, the foreground becomes very dark. If you then try to drag those shadows back too far in editing, you can end up with noise, muddy colour, and a file that starts to look a bit rough around the edges. Now that doesn't mean the D3200 can't handle landscapes. It means you had to treat it with a bit of respect. You had to expose carefully. You had to protect the highlights. You had to use graduated filters or bracket exposures when needed. And sometimes you had to accept that the foreground was going to be a silhouette. That is not always a failure. Sometimes the silhouette is the photograph. But this is where modern cameras do make life easier. Better dynamic range, cleaner shadow recovery, better screens, better live view, better stabilization in some systems. All of that helps. Now I'm not going to stand here and pretend that my old Nikon D3200 performs like a modern full-frame mirrorless camera, because it doesn't. But did that stop me from learning photography? Nah, not one little bit. This image is a good example of something that has very little to do with camera price. This is about seeing. The water channel leads through the frame. The rocks give the image structure. The light on the horizon gives it atmosphere. And the whole image depends on being in the right place at the right time and recognizing what the scene is offering. That is not expensive camera magic. That is fieldcraft. It's walking around, looking for lines, checking where the water is moving, waiting for the light, finding a foreground that actually does something. A beginner camera can record the image, but it can't find the image for you. And I think that's one of the most important lessons I learned with the D3200. It forced me to practice. It forced me to make mistakes. It forced me to work for the photograph. And honestly, that was probably the best thing it could have done. This one is another good example of where entry-level cameras can still do really well. There's a clear subject. The light is doing something beautiful. The composition is very simple. The colours are strong. Because the scene is not overly complicated, the camera doesn't need to perform miracles. That's something I'd really encourage beginners to think about. Don't always try to photograph the hardest possible scene. Start with a strong light and a clear subject. A lighthouse, an engine house, a tree, a rock formation, a path, a wave. Something the viewer can understand. The more chaotic the scene, the more experience you need to simplify it. And if the subject is strong and the light is good, an entry-level camera can absolutely deliver. This image is much more about technique. Tripod, filters, shutter speed, water movement, composition, and patience. The camera didn't do anything especially clever here. It just recorded the exposure. The important decisions happened before pressing the shutter. Where do I put the tripod? How much water movement do I want? Do I need an ND filter? Is the foreground helping? Is the shutter speed giving the water mood, or is it turning everything into lifeless mist? That's why I think beginners should be careful about spending all their money on a camera body. Sometimes a solid tripod, one decent lens, a basic filter kit, and time spent learning will do far more for your photography than jumping straight to a more expensive camera. The D3200 was not the glamorous option, but it taught me how to slow down and think. And for landscape photography, that matters. This is another one where the dynamic range issue comes in. We've got a bright sky, dark land, strong colour. Foreground detail that's very easy to lose, and this is where I think I used to fight the file too much. I wanted detail everywhere. I wanted the sky controlled. I wanted the foreground visible. I wanted the building to have texture. I wanted everything. And sometimes with a camera like this, you have to make a choice. Do you want the sky? Do you want the foreground? Do you want a silhouette? Do you want to bracket exposures? Do you need a filter? Or do you need to simplify the image and stop trying to recover every single shadow? That was a big lesson for me. Not every shadow needs saving, not every file needs pushing. Sometimes the most honest edit is the one that works with the limitation instead of pretending it isn't there. Now this is one of those images where I was absolutely pushing the camera a bit harder. You've got darker land, subtle sky colour, long exposure water, detail in the foreground, and a lot of tones that need careful handling. This is where an older crop sensor file can become a bit fragile if you start going too heavy with the editing. Lift the shadows too much and the noise appears. Push the colours too hard and things start looking strange. Sharpen too aggressively and the detail can get crunchy. But again, that doesn't make the camera bad. It just means you need to learn the file. Every camera has a personality. Some files are really flexible. Some need a gentler touch. The D3200 files could absolutely produce good images, but they didn't always like being bullied in post-processing. Which is fair enough, really. None of us do like being bullied. So, brutally honest, what were the main shortcomings? Well, first of all, dynamic range. It was absolutely fine in normal conditions, but if you had a high contrast scene such as a sunset with a bright sky and a dark foreground, you needed to be a little bit careful with how you exposed it. Second, shadow recovery. If you underexposed too much and tried to recover everything later on, the file could get a little bit muddy and noisy. Thirdly, highlights. If you clipped that sky, the detail was gone. There was no chance you were going to recover it later with any kind of fancy editing wizardry. Fourth is the screen and live view experience. Compared with modern cameras, it feels very basic. Trying to judge exposure and focus in the field was nowhere near as easy as it is now. Fifth, autofocus and speed. For normal landscape photography, it's absolutely fine, but for wildlife, action scenes, sports, anything fast moving, it's clearly not a modern tool. Finally, video. Yeah, it'll shoot video. Would I buy one to shoot video? Absolutely not. For stills though, for learning photography, for getting started on a small budget, yeah, it'll absolutely get you going, as long as you understand what it is. Now I'm using the D3200 as the example here because it's where I started. I'm not suggesting that you all rush out and buy that very same camera. There are lots of other affordable cameras on the market that will do a very similar job. If you like Nikon, you can look at the D3200, or there's the D3300, the D5300 and the D5600. They're all a similar idea. Crop sensor DSLR, good resolution, and there's loads of lenses on the used market. And these cameras are very capable to help you learn landscape photography. If you prefer Canon, bodies like the 600D, 650D, 700D, 750D, 760D are all worth considering on the used market. They may not match the Nikon D3200 for megapixels, but honestly, 18 to 24 megapixels is plenty for things like printing, social media, websites, and editing. And of course, Canon's used lens ecosystem is massive. If you're wanting to go mirrorless, then something like the Sony a6000 is probably one of the best budget options to look at. It costs more than many older DSLRs, but it gives you a smaller body, an electronic viewfinder, and a more modern shooting experience. Something like a Pentax K50 can be quite interesting for landscape photographers. Some of those bodies offered weather sealing and in-body stabilization at affordable prices. The point is that not one of these cameras is the magic answer. The point is you have options. Nikon, Canon, Sony, Pentax, DSLR, mirrorless. The most important thing is that the camera lets you learn properly. Can you shoot RAW? Can you control ISO, aperture, shutter speed? Can you change the lenses? Can you put it on a tripod? Can you afford it without having to sell a kidney? Well, if you can, brilliant. Start there. If I was advising someone starting landscape photography today, I'd tell them, don't spend all your money on the camera body. I'd get a sensible used camera and then think carefully about the rest of the kit. Decent lens matters. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it does need to suit what you want to shoot. A tripod matters, especially if you want to do things like seascapes, woodland, low light, blue hour, long exposures. You need a good, stable base to work from. Spare batteries and memory cards matter, because running out of power or storage just as the light is kicking off is the kind of thing that makes you question your entire existence. Editing matters, and not because you have to fake everything, but but because raw files need processing. And learning how to edit well is part of learning photography. And then eventually filters can matter. A polarizer, a graduated ND, a solid ND. But again, none of this replaces learning. The best investment is time spent outside with the camera. Good light, bad light, failed shoots, mistakes, re-edits, coming home disappointed, learning something and still going back out again. This is where the improvement happens. Looking back, the D3200 wasn't the weak link. Yes, it had its limitations, but it was more than capable of capturing strong landscape images. The real limitation was that I was still learning how to see, learning composition, learning exposure, learning how to edit raw files. I was still learning when to use filters, when to bracket, when to simplify, and when things just weren't going in my favour. That's why I think older entry-level cameras still have value. They teach you. They don't do everything for you. They don't hide every mistake. They don't make bad light good, and they don't make weak composition strong. But they give you enough to learn the craft. And honestly, that might just be exactly what a beginner needs. So do you need an expensive camera to start landscape photography? Absolutely not. Would a better camera make life easier? Yeah, of course it would. Better dynamic range, better screens, better autofocus, cleaner files, better video, nicer controls. All of that is real. But don't let the price of modern camera gear convince you that landscape photography is out of reach. A used entry-level DSLR or mirrorless camera can absolutely teach you an enormous amount. The camera just needs to be good enough to learn on. And then the rest is up to you. The light, the composition, the timing, the patience, the editing, the willingness to go out, get it wrong, come home, learn something, but still try again. This Nikon D3200 was not perfect, but it was my starting point. And looking back, I'm really glad I had it, because it didn't just help me take photographs, it helped me become a photographer. Thank you so much for watching. If you're just starting out or thinking about buying your first proper camera, I hope this video has helped. And if you've got an old entry-level DSLR gathering dust in a cupboard somewhere, maybe don't write it off too soon. There might be a lot more in those files than you think. I'll see you in the next one.